this thing.
Smooth sailing. Oh boy.
Oh boy. Oh, okay, we're live on YouTube.
Of course we.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. Should I do the old school, like come into this thing bit?
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, to the weekly edition of the Not Your Average Investor Show. This week, there's some new data on Jacksonville. The yearly Downtown Vision Report is out. We are lucky to get this type of data as real estate investors. We've talked about it before. We're going to talk about it again. We're going to talk about the latest numbers. There is something that's happening that is not like other years, and you, as a real estate investor here in Jacksonville, will want to know about it. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez. With me, as always, a man that I affectionately like to call GC because he's got the genius concepts, knows how to generate cash flow, is a great co-host, and because his name is Greg Cohen. Say hello, Greg.
Hello, everybody. Fantastic to be with you
And
today.
we are coming at you today from one of the new conference rooms here in JWB
I
headquarters.
thought we'd just like take a tour of JWB. Let's try to do a studio.
This is one of our favorite walls here at JWB. And, like at the end of the day, the show's up here. Little technical difficulties in the studios, but we will be back in studios.
I got locked out of my own studio. You want to know the truth? Got locked out of my own studio, couldn't find the key, so we're here.
I'm glad you leaned into authenticity.
Oh.
We're locked out, but we made it happen. Y'all have no idea how hard we worked to make this thing happen, but we love it. This is what we come here for, and we always start with one thing. GC, what is that?
The roll call, baby.
We start off with the MVP checking in from Galveston, Texas.
Mr. Lee Bishop.
Mr. Lee Bishop. We got a leadoff batter hitting off second.
John Henning.
John Henning. We got the ringmaster in the house. We got the regular guy with extraordinary questions.
Oh, that's Mike Foster.
Mike Foster.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was talking about Mark Norman, so I messed that up. We got the maven from the mountains of Denver.
Leslie Wilson.
Leslie Wilson. We got Mama Jane in the house.
Right, Mama Jane.
From the crispy mountains of Colorado, Robin Schofield from New Hampshire.
All right,
Welcome
Robin.
back. We got Saran with a plan.
Ran with the plan. Good to see you, Saran.
Checking in from Jersey. We got Alejandro from Tampa checking in. Good to have you, Alejandro. Good to have you back. Who else we got? Archibald Narty.
That's right.
From Canada.
Archibald is making himself a regular here. We love to have you, Archibald. Thank you for being here.
We love it. We love it, Archibald. Good to have you. We got HCTN in the house. They're back. Sean Dockery with a hi all. Good to have you.
Sean.
Our favorite smile from the Pacific Northwest.
Miss Pamela Myers.
Miss Pamela Myers. We got Glenn Schenken from Massachusetts. Glenn.
Glenn, nice to see you.
Good to you make time to be here, Glenn. Good to have you, man. We got the fairy godmother of the Not Your Average Investor Show community.
Miss Jen Filzen.
Miss Jen Filzen. We've got Big Earn is in the house today.
All right, perfect. Haven't seen Big Earn in a while. Good to have you.
Good to have you, buddy. We've got our regulars, Gary and Rosalind Riley from Marietta, California. We regard you. John Evans is back. Good to have you. We got the left tackle from Maryland.
Jeff Mironkow.
Jeff Mironkow.
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 It's like tomato smock.
Helen Head. That's
all right, Helen.
Is that in it?
I think I know Helen's name. I believe I do. Either way, we are delighted.
I think it's the first time that I get to say Helen, so thanks for checking in. Good to have you. Make yourself comfortable if you're new here. We got a gran amigo.
Bill Shields.
With a buenas tardes desde Duval. MJ Rueda checking in from New Jersey. Good to have you, MJ. Linda Evans from the Villages. Justine Herrera. And the Shaw, man.
Nadine Shaw.
Nadine Shaw. This is a good roll call, y'all. What's been going on with this roll call? Something in the water here.
Confession, I didn't even tell you this.
What's
Did
that?
the show without you last week?
Mm-hmm.
Do the roll call. I forgot to do the roll call. And then I remembered mid-show when we did the roll call.
It's been a long time since I'm speechless on the show.
I know. I told everybody not to tell you, but then I had to come clean.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I know because I listened to the show already. My team produced it.
All right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I know. Who else we got? I saw somebody else. Stevie B is in the house. Stevie B, good to have you. All right. Good roll call today. That's cool. Our regulars are here. Some of the folks that don't show up all the time, I know that they're here because they love this Downtown Vision Report and the latest stats. GC. Let's talk about this right now, right? The report that comes out is the State of Downtown Report put together by the Downtown Vision. What is the Downtown Vision?
So that's a nonprofit group. It's supported by downtown business owners, and the goal of Downtown Vision is to create economic growth. And one of the things that the Downtown Vision Board does is produce this State of Downtown report, and it is so important to have a benchmark, especially as we are in this period of growth with downtown. This is like one of my favorite days of the year is when the State of Downtown report comes out. I've spent a lot of time because I got so curious as I started to think about this. We've done the State of Downtown report for about 20 years. And I
Hmm.
was like, man, this is like a normal thing that I get excited about in downtown Jacksonville. Is that normal for other cities? And it's not. So not every city has this. Even very successful cities don't have this, and they don't do it as regularly as our downtown does. And then if you even go a little bit deeper, the stats and the way that we hold ourselves accountable here in Jacksonville through the State of Downtown report is not normal.
Yeah.
So a lot of hard work and a big kudos. We love Downtown Vision. They help support some of our events. They've helped support us with Not Your Average Investor Summit
Hmm.
as well as all businesses downtown. So wonderful asset that we have in that organization, and then this report today.
Yeah, and I remember us talking early on about the downtown vision 5 years ago, when downtown was just a glimmer in most people's eyes, talking about the need for, in a city as spread out as Jacksonville,
Mhm.
the fact that everybody owns a piece of downtown, but nobody was like owning downtown,
Right.
right? And the vision for downtown, hence the name.
Yes.
But like this idea that you had to bring stakeholders together to congeal around this kind of like center of the city if we're really, really going to make it happen. And we started having people on about this type of stuff. When you say they support the Not Your Average Investor Summit, they're the ones that like help us put together the tour,
Right.
right? And when they bring people, the people that like guide us on the tour, they're the ones that like help us with the logistics and find spots and all this stuff. And they're just kind of like the Pied Piper of downtown here in Jacksonville.
100%.
It's a volunteer board that like oversees a nonprofit organization, a public-private partnership kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure about. I know there's definitely paid positions on within Downtown Vision. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
much is volunteer versus paid, but it's a driving force for Jacksonville's downtown. And it's not only downtown's. It's not the only voice for downtown.
Yeah.
In partnership with Downtown Vision, there's also the Downtown Investment Authority. If we think about why all of these things are happening right now in downtown Jacksonville, the work started over a decade ago. The Downtown Investment Authority is the voice for downtown.
Mhm.
That is
Oh, okay.
a government and is a government entity,
Mhm.
and that was created in 2012 to be the voice of downtown and to create a master plan for growth for downtown,
Mhm.
and then to execute this. Downtown Investment Authority is in charge of these incentive packages, which are critical to getting this flywheel of growth going. And it just didn't exist prior to 2012. So
Mhm.
organizations like Downtown Vision, I think you call it being the Pied Piper, right?
Yeah.
Letting everybody know about all the great things that are happening and tracking and measuring our growth, along with a lot of other incredible things that they do to bring awareness and bring people downtown and put on events and things of that nature. Along with the Downtown Investment Authority are two of the most critical entities to help, pave the way for what we have for this incredible growth that we have here in downtown Jacksonville.
Excellent. Thanks for clearing that up, right? Like I often conflate the Downtown Vision and Downtown Investment Authority, all these like downtown acronyms.
Mhm.
Downtown Investment Authority is essentially the organization in charge. Downtown Vision is almost like an evangelism arm for
Yeah,
for downtown, right? Like marketing, information, kind of like bringing people together.
exactly.
And that's something that's come out of it. So before we go too deep into this, GC, and we talk about downtown Jacksonville, let's bring it back to why we care,
Mhm.
right? Like I think a lot of folks, when they come to this show, right, we have 75 plus people here today. So I know
Cool. Thank you
it's a
guys for
lot of
being
it's
here.
a lot of our regulars, and maybe there's some new folks in here. Um, when it comes to investing in single family rental properties, why does downtown matter so much in Jacksonville to just bring everybody up to it?
I think this is the number one growth agent for your investment dollars growing. It is what downtown is doing right now. It is a once in a generation type of opportunity to hitch your wagons to the growth and revitalization of downtown Jacksonville. And simply put, it is going to lead to the most amount of dollars that you earn over the next full market cycle.
Is that because you're investing in downtown?
It is not because you're investing in downtown. That's where our strategy is a little bit different. But what we know is that downtown is the rising tide that lifts all boats. If you want to think about how do I make the most money as a rental property investor, it comes from home price growth and rent price growth. And if you go back one more step and you say, well, how can I have home price growth and rent price growth be the most that it can be? you have to have median incomes rising to make it affordable for people to be able to buy and rent houses and still have them grow. Well, the number one growth agent for median incomes is a robust and thriving and revitalizing downtown.
Mhm.
And so we sit on the cusp here in Jacksonville of this once in a generation type of opportunity where downtown is going from being a food desert where nobody lived and there was no fun and not a lot of things happening to very close now to being on the other side, which is what well, I know we'll talk a lot about here today,
Yeah.
but an environment where people like to live, eat, work, play, spend money. And that right there is the biggest driver of median incomes and quality of life. And what will happen is all of the single family rental properties that you own, that I own, that all of you own are not located in downtown. They are located right around downtown. And our thesis and what we've seen play out over and over and over again is single family rental properties that are situated against around the next great American downtown are positioned to thrive and grow in both home price appreciation and rent price appreciation. So, all this being said, if we think this is the number one growth agent, we need to be paying attention. And so that's why we pay so much attention here. And this is a message you don't typically hear from a rental property investor.
Correct.
But this thesis makes all the difference in my mind.
Yeah, I think it was maybe about a year into our journey here on the Not Your Average Investor show that I started really, as like everybody else on this call, becoming educated through the show and doing this, that I started really keying in on this idea that JWB sounds really different in the sense that while almost every other investment I've ever heard in a single family home has to do with like within the property lines, right? Like
Right.
how do we drive value within the property lines? And you guys do that really, really well.
Sure.
For me as a marketer, I was thinking like, what makes this so different? Like, why does it feel so different? And it's this idea that, JWB does all the right things inside of the property line, but you also think beyond that. You think at a neighborhood level, and now that you've reached this scale, you're thinking at like a city level. And as all of this story has evolved, and all of us that invest in JWB and watch the show, I know that this isn't new to you. This is just bringing up anybody to speed because we have a large amount of people here on this call. It's this idea that we're in this like particular Goldilocks zone.
Mhm.
There's cities out there that have a thriving, bustling downtown and are already world-class cities, and they have the performance that they're going to have. Then there's cities out there that, are small towns. They're not really like a high-performing destination city for corporate relocations and like a large in-migration.
Right.
And they're just kind of like within their property lines, they're performing well, but there's nothing really particular to get excited about in the macro economy.
Mhm.
Jacksonville happens to be in this moment where it has all the things that happen inside of the property line. And it's been doing really well with that for the last 15 years. But also,
Right.
it has had an underperforming downtown that now, as the city has matured and it's becoming this real city with real destinations, and you'll see all these kind of statistics, it's going to hit this tipping point where the downtown really turns on, which was an insight that you guys started researching about 10 years ago. This idea of like seeing how other cities like Charlotte, like Denver, like Cincinnati, when the downtown turned on, like Nashville, when the downtown turned on, how property values around the downtown started performing, created all this data around it. We now know that it's when a city goes from being an 8-hour downtown to an 18-hour downtown.
Way to go, Eddie.
I was
Way to
messed that up.
go. You did.
The home price appreciation tilts upwards by 80 something percent. What is it?
89% is what the data says.
89%, right? So this is why we keep such a close eye on downtown, and we love diving into this report. What do you say we get into it, JC?
Let's do it, baby.
All right. So first of all, we're going to just talk about a little bit about these downtown stats. Jay Miller, who's here, Jake, good to see you, buddy, is asking, he's from Tallahassee, and he's saying, what's more spread out, Tallahassee or Jacksonville, as far as things work?
Yeah, Jacksonville,
Yeah.
for sure. But not just the downtown, but of course our great city. We're the largest city in the contiguous United States. So pretty much any city out there, you compare it to Jacksonville, we're going to be more spread out. And our downtown as well, which we talk about the relevance of that. But we don't often compare ourselves too much to those friends over in Tallahassee because we're Gators, but we are more spread out for sure.
Yeah. So that being said, here's some of like the high level statistics on Jacksonville itself, right? rated the second hottest job market in the United States. We're the third in the United States for economic growth, top 5 city for attracting college graduates, seventh best big city to live in the United States. We've got a show coming up talking about how it's the #1 ranked city for real estate rookie investors. And just a whole bunch of like high level statistics that point to a really, really healthy, thriving macro economy here locally. A stat that I noticed is not in this, these are screenshots from the report itself, that we're the #1 city for corporate relocations right now in the United States. 2,500 new jobs in 2025. Only a 7%. Oh, I guess what's the statistic here? Cost of living 7% lower than the national average, or cost of living has grown by 77%, which is lower than that.
It's 7% lower than the national average. So, I mean, that's really significant for affordability, of course.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, totally. So good deal. It's a good deal. So GC, one of the things that we talk about often on the show is this idea of the tipping point for when a downtown is going to happen, right? You want to talk us through the numbers on what we mean by this tipping point and this thing that we're foreshadowing of having an 18-hour downtown.
Absolutely. Once we understood how important hitching your wagon, your investment wagon to the next great American downtown is, we said, well, how can we understand what the next great American downtown looks like and what is a leading indicator? And one of the best leading indicators is residential population growth in that downtown. Because if you want your downtown to be a bustling place where people are living, working, playing, eating, hanging out, spending money, you need people living there. And so we went to all these other great downtowns, like you mentioned there, in Tampa and Austin and Cincinnati and Charlotte and Denver and all of these places. And we asked them, how did you know your downtown was about to hit this tipping point? What did that tipping point look like? And what did you track and measure? And they all talked about downtown resident population. What became clear is that there's a threshold. And the threshold is 10,000 residents. And once your downtown crosses 10,000 residents, the numbers start to change for the developer. And that's where all this goes back to, because once developers can start making money in a downtown, they rush there because that is a deal to them. And so after you get to about 10,000 residents living downtown, rents get to a certain level where developers can come in and earn a decent return on their money. And then things start to change dramatically. So we have always been tracking our downtown population growth, and we have been measuring ourselves and saying, hey, when are we going to cross this 10,000 resident threshold? And that was one of the most exciting things in the report that was just released. Look at our number of downtown residents we have there, Bob, 9,200.
Yep, I got some numbers here. The numbers are current downtown population of 9,228. There's a current 5,655 residential units. We're at 96% occupancy. I'd say that's pretty good occupancy. Not as good as JWP occupancy,
Right.
But it's pretty good occupancy. And this is really a banner year for downtown, right? Like there's been an increase of 1,380 new residents in 958 new units. It's a 97% increase from 2016 that we see over here. But I think what's really interesting to me is this idea that we started talking about this around 2000, right? Like we started talking about this 2000, 2001.
2020.
Sorry, yeah, 20. Yeah, 2020, 2021. We started talking about this, and we had been talking about how like back in 2014, like before 2016, there just wasn't much growth.
No.
So we started seeing some growth happening. And it's been, pretty constant, steady Eddie over here. But what you see is this like sharp, oh, sorry, I was doing units, right? Like population, right? It's been growing. It's been pretty steady Eddie. And then you see this like sharp turn upwards.
Inflection.
That is what this inflection point of this 1,380 new units is. It's the biggest growth in 1 year that we've seen since you and I have been talking about it. And just to give you kind of like, I looked into the last couple of years of these reports. We saw from 2019 to 2020, we had 6,137. Then 2020 to 2021, we had 6,800, right? That's 6,830. That's an increase of 693. By 2022, it grew by 665 to 7,495. 2023, you see on this slope, right? It starts just kind of like going a little bit slower. It grew by 200 to 7,695. 2024, it remained pretty flat. And now this jump up that is more than twice what any other 1 year thing had done.
Getting a phone call?
Just rookie hour out here, buddy. Um, singular jump of more than double what anybody had done. I know that these reports aren't, I mean, tell me kind of like, you gave me a little bit of qualifier of like these numbers on these
Yeah.
reports, but I think we should talk about how significant this is.
I think this is significant. There's the qualifiers I was giving you is every once in a while they have about a 1.5 year to a 2 year gap between doing these reports. But now what the Downtown Vision is doing is doing this report every single year. Do you know why they're doing that every single year?
Because it's changing so quickly?
Yeah, and because there's so much good stuff to report as
Yeah.
well. So that was all I was sharing with you. Regardless, the numbers that we're talking about, that inflection point that we saw, that's real. That's not projected. In fact, if you would go back to that slide, I wanted to take a look here because this is so critical. You want to be investing in something holding hard assets, single family rental properties before the growth happens. Because at that point, once the growth happens, home prices go up, rents go up, and ultimately your investment dollars won't go as far. If you just look at other successful downtowns, you can't buy cash flow positive rental properties anywhere near downtown Nashville or downtown Tampa or downtown Austin. You just can't do it. But I wanted to go back here because you see the projected.
The dotted line.
Dotted. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Goodness. So the dotted lines are the projections that our city has for what our population growth is going to have. And it's really not that, it gets, every year we do this, to me, it gets easier and easier to promote this message.
Yeah.
Because this was the dotted line 3 years ago and 4 years ago as we were talking about this. But you didn't see this sort of inflection point happen yet.
That's right.
Now you have a solid line before the dotted line that's on the same trajectory.
Right.
And to put it in perspective, downtown Tampa and Nashville and Austin have somewhere around 15 to 20,000 residents living downtown. I know Nashville is 20,000 people living downtown. So in just 3 years, we're expecting to be 14,000 people living downtown. And about, call it 40% higher than crossing that 10,000 person threshold. That's why I say that you're not even going to recognize downtown Jacksonville when it comes to the years 2028 to 2030. It's because change is going to happen fast. And for real estate investors who understand this, you should be loading up on assets before that dotted line gets filled in.
You mentioned Tampa and Nashville specifically because they are cities that when their downtown turned on, the rate of home price appreciation has gone bananas. And if you go try and buy properties there, you're looking at $1 million.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So it starts to get really, really expensive. There's more data here of what's coming too, right? So like right now we're at this moment of 9,228 people living downtown, 5,655 units. We have 2,100 units currently under construction, which you can also assume that that's going to have another at least 2,100 more residents. And there's 2,500 plus units approved or in review right now in permitting, which the projected numbers are 4,500 plus more new residents, right? So this thing is really, really climbing. The inflection point is really here. GC, why do you think that this curve is so, like, we've been talking about it for so long, right? You said it, this dotted line has been here for a long time. Why do you think this like solid line is really happening and now it feels so tangible?
Why do I think it's happening? Because
Like why do you think it's accelerating the way that it's accelerating right now?
Because that's how these things go.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in a linear line. If you go back and you look at Nashville, Tampa, Denver, Austin, any of these successful downtowns, their growth was hockey stick growth.
Yeah.
That's how this goes. And it happens because put yourself in the minds of a developer. If you want fun stuff to be downtown and good places to eat and amenities that make it fun to live downtown, it all comes back to, can the developer make money? And when you look at how a developer makes money, they need rents to be a certain level. They need demand for housing to be at a certain level. Call that crossing 10,000 residents living downtown. That provides the demand for the housing and the rents to be a certain level. Well, then at that point, if you're a developer and you're like, I want to go and get the best use of my return on investment, I'm looking for the next great American downtown and I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
And so developers start rushing in, just like they did in Tampa, just like they did in Nashville. It never is just this linear when you're the next great American downtown, because developers are going to make the best return on their investment to get in once the thesis has been proven. So expect hockey stick type of growth when you're investing in and around the next great American downtown.
Hockey stick type of growth.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm
Thank
into it. I think it's pretty obvious to like look at it and think, of course, as more people get there, it becomes more obvious, which drives more belief, which drives more investment. It's like a reinforcing mechanism, right? So like, of course, I'm sure that you're not the only person that understands this like 10,000 threshold, that understands being there before the 10,000 person threshold and starts investing, right? Like you guys happen to have this unique long view ability of like doing this before everybody else, but like as it gets closer, more and more people jumping in. Martha, my wife, actually 2 days ago was like, "Hey, guess who's coming to downtown Jacksonville? Related Group." And I was like, "Babe, I know Related Group is coming to downtown. We've been talking about it on the show." Famous Miami developer, right? That's doesn't have the same reputation as JWV, but they've done a lot of big projects in other thriving downtowns and things that they're doing. Another thing that you and I talk about that is more non-obvious is, and we did a whole show about this, is this idea that the reason why the developer incentives go away at 10,000 residents is because once you have 10,000 residents, you gain the ability to attract great anchor tenants, right? And to explain that is, a great walkable downtown is a mixed use downtown. It has retail and hospitality on the streetscape. It has residents and like hotels and different things above that. Right. And when you're doing these mixed use developments, a developer is always looking for an anchor tenant. That's like the big box store that's going to take up the most commercial real estate, that's going to de-risk the deal for them, create a whole bunch of cash flow. And a great anchor tenant, that's a great healthy sign of one of these projects, is a
premium grocery store.
Yeah, a grocery store, right? And we've been talking about downtown as this food desert. You said that tactically before, because before all of this happening, there was essentially like there's a grocer kind of like on the north side of downtown, which is what's
Market.
No. So Harvey's, right? So there's a Harvey's that's kind of like if you drive past it, you're just like, oh, I don't know if I want to really go there, right? Like it's like a discount grocer that doesn't seem like a very appealing place. Then on the South Bank, there's been a Fresh Market in Brooklyn, and that's been a really big success. Another mixed-use development that's happened really well. But we've been talking about that. What downtown, the North Bank, really, really needs is better grocers. And now we're starting to see it. Pearl Square, your development, has, we did a whole show on a Publix there, and now there's also a Whole Foods coming in another Riverside anchor as well. We're about to have 3 premium grocers, and that other grocer that I was talking about is getting redone. It's getting refurbished into an Aldi, which is another, not a low cost grocer, but like a brand that is much more appealing. That's going to bring more people to it.
100%. We're going from being a food desert 5 years ago to now we have really 4 full service premium style grocery stores, and that is such an achievement. It, from the outside looking in, if you are not familiar with Jacksonville and you want to say, hey, how do I know that this is actually happening, what Greg has been promoting for years and years and years, look no farther than the number of high-end premium grocery stores that are walkable to the downtown resident population. And so now we have 2 of those open. We have Fresh Market and Whole Foods open. Whole Foods just opened last week, which is really, really incredible. But they don't serve the North Core. The North Core is now served by our project, which is Pearl Square, and we will have Publix as our signature grocer in Pearl Square. They've signed the lease, and that'll be happening in 2028. And then again, you mentioned Aldi's, which is serving kind of the eastern side. It's serving the North Core, but also a little bit farther to the east. So a completely different area when it comes to grocery options. And if you are somebody who's thinking about where you're going to live next, you are just solving this problem that has been plaguing downtown Jacksonville for many, many years. And by 2028, you're going to have all the grocery options you need here.
Awesome. And GC, I know we wanted to show this from the downtown report. This is kind of like the different areas, right? We were talking about the Fresh Market over here in Brooklyn. We're going to have this like Publix right here. That Aldi's is kind of like right around here.
Cathedral Hill.
Cathedral Hill, right?
Yeah.
It's like on this part of Cathedral Hill. The Whole Foods, you know what part the
Yeah,
Whole
it's
Foods
it's
development
just
is
on the
happening?
eastern part of Brooklyn.
On the
Yeah,
eastern part of
right
Brooklyn.
there.
So over here, so a little closer to the city center.
Yep.
So again, full coverage of these of like the downtown core with these developments. Let's talk a little bit about like the development that's happening. JC, you want to talk through it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you want to talk about these different neighborhoods, or this is just like a good
I
kind of
just
like
thought as I was going through the report, many times when I'm presenting and speaking, people will say, well, what do you mean by downtown Jacksonville?
yeah.
So I thought this was a nice visual. And just, when I'm sharing these stats, know that there is an actual like 3.9 square miles that is defined as downtown Jacksonville. So that gives us a benchmark to make sure that when we share downtown resident population or development dollars, it's all within this defined section. It's these core neighborhoods that we're talking about.
Got it.
Yeah, so it's amazing, when I talk about like why Jacksonville is so important, downtown Jacksonville is so important, I talk about it being the rising tide that lifts all boats. But
Mhm.
I'm a data nerd and I try to find, real numbers that try to tell the story in addition to kind of the storytelling that we do. Well, here's the numbers that justify this, why downtown is so important. We have less than 1% of the city's total land area, but even now, even before we have fully hit our stride, our downtown provides over 4% of the city's tax revenue, 32% of the city's hotel tax revenue, 8% of the city's sales tax revenue, 12% of the city's jobs. We have 3 of the 4 of our Fortune 500 companies are located here in downtown. And then events. We're going to talk more about events as we get into this conversation a little bit more. But really, even for me, who's somebody who loves Jacksonville, loves downtown. I go out of my way to go and hang out downtown with my family. We have a lot of events and a lot of visitors here.
True.
And so this is where we are today, even before that hockey stick type of approach growth that we're talking about. This is the lever that you can pull. And this is why so many assets and resources and developers are betting on downtown Jacksonville and why the city really wants us to do that. It's because this is the lever you can pull. If it's already doing this much business for the city, imagine what 10% more growth can do and how you can have a lot more percentage growth than that in all these other buckets.
When I think of like 1% of land mass and these kinds of numbers already happening, I think of like a nucleus, right? Like it just becomes like the tighter the nucleus gets, the stronger the cell will become.
Yeah.
And as we start to like densify more and more in downtown, these numbers will continue to rise at a disproportionate level, and continue to drive that growth, continue to drive that revenue, all those different things in one compound area that then spreads the value throughout the rest of the city.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of these new projects that are happening, right? I know you love talking about like the billions of dollars in the skyline after your DC trip.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just the numbers continue to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
The headline for this report is that we now have $7 billion in the development pipeline here in downtown Jacksonville. That is either completed or under construction, or it's approved or in review. So this development pipeline just dwarfs other cities' development pipeline. I've looked as far as I can find. I've researched probably 20 other downtown reports for other downtowns.
Go to vacation in downtown.
I actually go there and then I talk to tour guides and I say, how much development dollars do you have? And I can't find anything close to 7 billion. The most that I have found is 1 billion. And so that is because there's a lot going on here. And you can also think about Jacksonville as this blank canvas too. It wasn't too long ago that we had a lot of vacant buildings in downtown Jacksonville. We still have some. And so we are one of the only, successful downtowns where you can actually put this type of development dollars into it. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, and I love this slide and it's part of the presentation, they compared how much completed investment dollars were completed in the previous 15 years. From 2000 to 2015, we had 2.6 billion in development done. When I saw that, I was like, man, that's a lot of development.
Yeah.
Even not just Jacksonville, that's a lot of development for a downtown.
Yeah.
Would have been really interesting to see how much we did prior to 2000 because it would have been even smaller than that. Well, just in the last 9 years, from 2016 to 2024, we completed 3.4 billion.
Yeah.
So increased by a third, basically.
Yeah.
33%. So you're seeing, again, this type of growth, this hockey stick type of growth.
Yeah.
You're seeing the leading indicators here really proving the thesis now. And you're starting to, again, see it in terms of people living downtown. So this is a precursor to the growth of the downtown resident population. You're starting to see the whole flywheel start to come together.
What I find really interesting is I remember when you first started talking about this, like you went to DC like 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, probably like 3 years ago.
Probably about 2, 3 years ago, you came back and you were like, man, DC's got like 1.2 billion in their like downtown pipeline. We've got like 3 or 4 billion
Right.
in the downtown pipeline. And in just that short amount of time, it's gone from like we've got 4 billion in the pipeline to we got 3.4 billion built
Yeah.
and now 7 billion in the pipeline.
That's right.
Right. So like this hockey stick thing, we're living it as we continue to do these reports. And I find that really, really, really interesting.
Yep.
So then this is the actual development pipeline. You want to talk about some of these projects?
Yeah. So the thing that jumped out to me the most, you can break down your $7 billion of development pipeline into different categories. And I'll tell you the truth, like as a developer or as a city, you could really pump up your numbers if you had 7 billion in development, but 6.5 billion was in review or in consideration or whatever they would call it. That's not the case with Jacksonville. We have 3 billion under construction. Out of the 7 billion in a development pipeline, the thing that matters the most to me, there's two really. How much was completed and how much is under construction?
Shovel
ready. Cranes are here. Like, dirt is moving. Things are being done. Because in order to be under construction, you had to get all the way past all of the red tape, all of the incentive conversation. The developer had to raise all of the money. You had to go through so many hoops. The money's there, and now it is being developed. So when I look at 7 billion here in development pipeline, 3 billion under construction is the most that we have ever had under construction at one time. And this is just a visual of where those dollars are going.
Well, let's talk about those. So it's 7 billion in the total pipeline. 809 million were done last year.
That's right.
Is what it's saying. 3 billion under construction, right? Like dirt moving.
Yeah.
What is that? 3.6 million.
36 million approved.
36 million approved. So that's coming up next. Shovels are about to happen. And then 2.8 billion in review.
Exactly.
Right? And looking to be approved and all that type of
That is a robust pipeline. That is a pipeline that you want to see.
Yeah.
And again, go back to 809 million. In just 1 year, we had that completed. Again, if we go back to 2000 to 2015, we completed 2.6 billion, right? Like 1 year, 800 million out of
a third of that.
Right. So things are moving. Things are absolutely moving.
Yeah, like healthy pipeline and very tangible pipeline, right? And then now these are kind of like the big projects. Everybody's heard of the Stadium of the Future being developed by billionaire Shad Khan down by the Sports and Entertainment District. There's this Rivers Edge Life on the St. John's. Highlighted. Why did we highlight that?
That's our project. So Pearl Square is the project that JWB has a significant interest in. It's being run by Gateway Jacks, and JWB set up the Gateway Jacks company and fund. It's being run by the CEO, who is Brian Mull, who's a great friend and a great friend of the show. You all have met him. He's been at our summit before. And it's really fun to see our project here being recognized as one of the transformative projects in all of downtown Jacksonville.
You know what I love about this, GC, is that you guys from day one have talked about how it's going to take a bunch of people to do this, right? Like you and Shad Khan early on, right? Like you guys were early stakeholders in downtown, and for a really, really long time, the conversation was dominated by the shipyards and the stadium and what you guys are doing in downtown. Now we have this report. Now you are just one data point in a whole bunch of like little pictures in here that, make it look small, even though it's like a $1.5 billion development, right? But like, this is what you want. You want the market to validate what you're doing. You don't want to be the only person doing this. You need other folks doing it. And this is what's happened. As momentum builds, you see all these other kind of like high profile projects join, keep on validating what you're doing, continue to like increase the flywheel and the hockey stick growth.
Yes, the hockey stick type growth. This is the way we envisioned it would be. This was why, 5-8 years ago, my business partner Alex would literally just take people on scooter tours. People who could invest in downtown, he would take them on scooter tours, very similar to how I take all of you on a downtown tour at least once a year here for Summit. We started doing that 8 years ago. And we said, listen, everybody can win here, but it can't just be Shad Khan and the Jags doing it. It can't just be JWB and,
And the Not Your Average Investor
and the
community
Not Your
doing
Average
it.
Investor Show
Everyone's doing
community.
it.
It's got to be everybody. And it's fun now. It is so fun to share this message because everybody sees it. You have to be less of a visionary today to see it. And so more dollars are coming in.
So that is the population side of it, right? That's like the demand that we all look at as far as rental property investors. We love to see population, we love to see housing units. The thing that creates the stability is the jobs, right? Like the economic development that's happening around this. The fact that we are the fastest high and growing median income in all of Florida, and what do we rank in the country? Don't we? We're somewhere in the country as well,
I
right?
think we're like number 12 or so in the country for fastest growing median
like
income.
fastest growing median income, low cost of living brings jobs. So right now, what the jobs looks like is downtown supporting 46,833 employees. There's 3 out of 4 Fortune 500 headquarters, 12% of jobs out of the whole city, right? We talked about these numbers, but 56% of those are knowledge-based industries, right? So like a thriving employment sector that's happening in downtown, and the things that are coming that got highlighted by this report are something that we've talked about a bunch. It's this University of Florida graduate campus that's coming to downtown that's meant to be an AI powered fintech and healthcare tech graduate campus coming to La Villa, close to one of the JWB developments as well.
100%.
That's going to bring 10,000 students annually, right? That is demand for housing as well. And it's a $345 million public-private partnership, you see.
I think this is going to be right up there with the Jacksonville Jaguars in terms of economic growth engine for Jacksonville. And it may even be more. Who knows, right? We love the Jags, and we don't have the same type of city without the Jags. But if you think about what this type of graduate campus does for median incomes, you could make an argument this could be even bigger. And it's because you have these types of students coming, which will lead to these types of jobs and us being known as a talent incubator here, which brings other companies to want to be here.
Yeah.
You think about this path of, again, if we go back to like, why is this report so important? It's because this is the greatest growth engine for median incomes so that you can win as a rental property investor, so your home values can go up and everybody can afford it. Well, these types of jobs, these jobs supported fintech, health tech, the Semiconductor Institute, which is going to be here at the UF graduate campus. If you asked anybody on the street, what are the jobs that are most likely to lead to median income growth? It would be those types of jobs, right? That type of training.
Yeah.
So it's here and it's in our downtown. And then if you just look at the numbers that I shared with you, 10,000 residents really matters. We're talking about 10,000 students here. Like,
true.
right, just
I didn't even
added
think
this
about that.
just to the heart of downtown.
Yeah.
And so
that's going to attract retail and development and more dollars spent for like the economic flywheel as well.
And you've got, now we have a larger downtown than most, as I mentioned, our downtown, geographically 3.9 square miles. But the way that this is playing out too, you've got, the stadium, which is on the east side. Actually, would you mind going back to? Yeah, there you go. You've got the stadium, which is in the sports and entertainment district. So there's a $1.4 billion project right there. You've got us in the North Core, which is Pearl Square. That is going to be a completely different neighborhood inside of a neighborhood. So, with the foundation of Publix being our premium grocer there. And then if we go to the UF graduate campus, it's going to be right there in La Villa. So you've got these 3 nodes of incredibly important and transformative development happening here in our city, and you just can see how this is going to complement each other and just create this dynamic flywheel type of effect.
Yeah, and if you drive through downtown right now, you're starting to see this stuff come out of the ground, right? But before that, not long ago, before it was coming out of the ground, it's just kind of like the city center was a cluster. Then there's the stadium and a couple of other things over here. And most of these areas were kind of like deadish, right? Like La Villa, Cathedral Hill, North Core, working waterfront. And then there's Brooklyn. That's kind of like the first experiment. That's where we have the Fresh Market. That's already working really, really, really well. And the South Bank has this like healthcare sector that is also pretty dense as well. And what we're seeing now, what we talked about from the beginning, first of all, we kind of broke the news of the UF graduate campus here on the show.
Did we?
I mean,
Kind of.
I mean,
I mean,
I mean,
yeah, kind of.
we kind of did. We kind of we've been talking about it as long as anybody, right? But that being said, um, what we've been seeing is essentially what the theory is like if you can fill in these gaps that used to be dormant, La Villa, North Core, Cathedral Hill, working waterfront, right? Like, and you start to bridge bridge in between like the places that are already activated, then everything else starts to fill in and the flywheel spins. So now no wonder that as these things are coming out of the ground, it's becoming more real. All this other development dollars are coming in here because these things are going to start to fill in. Like we're not talking a lot about Cathedral Hill. That's where the Aldi's going to be. That's going to, I'm sure there's going to be more development there. Y'all started doing La Villa. That's filling in as well. The North Core, that's already solved for with Pearl Square.
Right.
And then the Sports and Entertainment District, they're activating this waterfront. They're building all these like high rises and stuff there. And that's what we're seeing, right? It's like one thing feeds the next. It's truly, truly a flywheel.
Absolutely.
So we've got a couple of questions here from folks. I want to get to them, but I want to just land the plane on I wanted to talk about, we talked about jobs, we talked about UF. There's one other thing that I wanted to show folks is the idea that there's already been a thriving education and healthcare district there, right? Like, well, you'd be surprised to know that there was already these different campuses that exist at UF. There's already this like thriving healthcare sector, and now healthcare is filling in some more with this McGehee Tower. That's all right, McGehee?
Like Willis McGahee?
But McGahee is with an A. That's why I said McGehee.
Yeah.
Like
McGee,
a Michael Jackson. McGehee. McGee? Is it McGee?
I believe so.
Well,
I feel like I should know, but
you should. You're more Gaelic
nobody
than I am.
actually asked me. So I don't know.
Anyways, this is another major development. This is a big job driver, right? 123,000 square foot of emergency and inpatient space, 100 emergency treatment rooms. Like you can read that and think, man, all these different medical procedures, all these sick people. I see that as like each one of those rooms, each one of those inpatient spaces are jobs, right? Like that is some, high paying jobs, like high level hospital administrators and doctors, but there's also a lot of blue collar working class jobs that go into this type of institution. The nurses, the x-ray technicians, right? Like the engineering staff that handles the facilities, the janitorial staff, right? Like everybody that makes that whole thing tick, right? The front desk, the valet guys, right? Like this is quintessential workforce jobs that fill in the workforce housing of the 6,000 doors that we all own around downtown Jacksonville. $190 million investment into that.
No, I think you're 100% right. The other thing that I would add on, because I think that's the most impactful result of this type of an investment, but I know that it also leads to population growth because I know friends who have moved down here specifically because of the healthcare options that we have here in Jacksonville that you can't find anywhere else in the world. And people make decisions, especially as they get older in life, to be down here because of this. So eds and meds, man. Eds and meds.
Eds and meds. Yeah, we kind of coined that term. So one kind of like chink in the armor is this idea that right now, downtown commercial real estate is underperforming in comparison to other markets, right? It has a 27.4% vacancy rate in comparison to other Florida markets that are closer to like the mid-teens. Something in that report. Anything that you want to comment on that, GC?
Yeah, I think this is something that, over time will get improved. It doesn't look good right now. Office vacancy in downtown Jacksonville is higher than we all want. It's okay just to talk about it that way. Certainly doesn't preclude any of the other great things that we have been talking about for years and years and years. You can have an extremely successful downtown in terms of population growth and development happening and still have higher than normal office vacancy. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see this development flywheel take place. You're going to see downtown's resident population grow. You're going to see amenities come in. And then over time, what's going to happen is the downtown office space is going to get absorbed, but it's going to take time. It's not going to be fixed as quickly as I think the downtown resident population growth is happening. And that's okay. So yeah, we are underperforming in terms of vacancy when it comes to office. But what's really interesting is, and especially on the summit, when I took everybody on a downtown tour, I showed one of the buildings that we are building in Pearl Square. We are building brand new construction office space. And everybody's like, Greg, we have 27% vacancy. Why would we be building more office space as a part of Pearl Square? And because what we see is that there is a flight to value when it comes to office space. If you look at our building here, we have every floor that is available, we have rented out.
Mhm.
There's 12 floors here, and we have 11 of them rented out.
Mhm.
The last floor just became available.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, that's pretty much 100% occupancy, or it will be very soon.
Yeah.
And you look at other successful buildings that are built in this to be amenities in themselves. If you guys got to spend time in JWB's office, you would see why it was easy for us to rent out this space for the rents that we needed to get to other companies.
Yeah.
And so if I take that back to the Pearl Square decision to build office space, you start to think about the 200,000 square feet of retail and restaurants and shops, and you think about the 1,000 apartment units that are going to be there and the public spaces. People are going to want to have their employees in the heart of the action.
Yeah.
And they're going to pay top dollar rent. And so, yeah, we're actually building office space in Pearl Square. So I think what you're going to see is there's going to be a flight to value when it comes to downtown office. There are some downtown office buildings like ours that are an amenity in themselves, and those are going to get rented,
Yep.
and those are going to get rented, and you're going to see rents continue to go up. The ones that are really old and that aren't an amenity in themselves, it's going to be a while until they get absorbed. And so ultimately, overall, our office vacancy will get absorbed. It's gonna be the, step 3, 4, 5 rather than step 1 and 2.
Yeah, like if I'm thinking of this report, right? Like, and I am thinking about this report, obviously. I'm thinking of like what is the order of operations here that I want to see, right?
Mhm.
Like I feel like office space as a lagging indicator is probably the thing that I'd be most comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that thing, I want to see jobs moving here.
Mhm.
I'd want to see people moving here. I'd want to see retail businesses frequented by the people that are going to keep the people here.
Mhm.
And I'd be less concerned about this like idea of like office space, which has all by itself gone through like its own kind of like mini recession in its own world, and how that's performing I would imagine is going to be like sometime before it catches up.
Mhm.
But the other thing that I would also like to see is this idea of how livable is this thing becoming, right? Like we talked about this in the beginning, right? Downtown recorded 19.7 million visits in 2025, up 1.5% from 2024. 5.3 million people attended downtown events in 2025, up 10%
Mhm.
from 2024. And this is something that we found very, very interesting. 34% of downtown visits occurred between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. This is that like signpost of this is no longer just a 8-hour downtown. People are coming here after hours for entertainment options and things of that sort, JC.
Yeah, I was really blown away. This slide here, or the part of this report, was probably the most surprising thing out of everything that I
Yeah.
read. I didn't think that we had 20 million people visiting
Yeah.
last year. I didn't think that there was a 300,000 visit increase year over year.
Yeah.
But it's happening. There is so much stuff that is happening downtown now that just wasn't happening in years past. I loved how in their own notes there, they said this is signaling an incremental shift towards a 24-hour economy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We've talked about, this is the shift that has gone on in Austin and Tampa and Nashville and these other downtowns. They're now 18-hour cities. And, in Austin's state of downtown report, I think it was either last year or the year before, it said something like the arrival of the 18-hour downtown.
That's right.
I'm already envisioning when our downtown state of report is going to have the byline of the arrival of the 18-hour downtown.
Yeah.
It will happen here in downtown Jacksonville. So yeah, and a ton of events and attendees. We had over 5.3 million attendees for over 3,000 events here in 2025. I mean, we just had Jazz Fest last weekend here. Really fun to see. I think, I hesitate to say that Jacksonville has become a tourist destination, right? I think we're far away from that, but I can just tell you personally, I have a lot of fun in downtown.
Yeah.
You have a lot of fun in downtown.
Yeah.
I know
when we live a half an hour away from downtown, we make a point to go to downtown because we live on the beaches.
Right.
Right.
And
it's becoming a destination.
And you know what? I tell you what, my wife wouldn't go and drive a half hour to go hang out and have fun with me if she wasn't having fun. But we're in downtown having fun. And so I'm not the only person, right? You're seeing 5.3 million people that are kind of running the same thing in their head. And they're saying, oh, yeah, you know what? I'll go and do that show or that Jazz Fest or whatever in downtown Jacksonville. And so this is a nice sign to see. I can't wait to report on it next year and see this type of a growth because, as all of these, what I would say, the key is getting people to live downtown.
Yeah.
You got to get that that part of it, but you see all these other ancillary things that are happening. You're saying, you know what? The thesis is coming together. The thesis is making sense.
I say this over and over on the show. It's this idea that people visit a place before they move there. I know it's hard to imagine this idea, like you go to Austin and Nashville, you're never going to move there.
Right.
But still, nobody moves somewhere without first seeing it, being like, oh, I get this place and whatever. It's a very, very small percentage, but this uptick in visitors is a leading indicator of the profile of the city, of people wanting to go there. To me, these events, this like picture of Jacksonville Jazz Fest looks a lot like the freaking the river run,
Oh yeah.
the 15K that you and I ran, right? Just like shoulder to shoulder, people crammed into an urban space with buildings in the background. That's really happening. Something that just happened a week or two ago. They had an Ironman here in downtown,
that's
right?
right.
Like, and that's something that happens in less than like 20 cities in the world.
Yeah.
And that was a huge event. We had thousands of people swimming in the river and all these pictures start to make it around the world, right? Like it wasn't that long ago that the only thing that people knew about Jacksonville was that they had a football team,
Right.
and then we had like some like loony character on a show called that was from there that was like obsessed with the football team.
Right.
And now people are seeing pictures around the world of Ironman competitions inside of Jacksonville, this Jazz Fest, these 10K runs, all these different things that are coming. That builds brand identity, impressions, right? Like people start to think, oh, I want to go there. I want to go check it out, right? Like, so this is a leading indicator. And it's also being followed by a bunch of like stuff that I love, which are these like public space projects. These projects are like, no matter how expensive downtown gets, no matter how much the income grows, there's always going to be this like inclusivity around public spaces where people mix. The Riverfront Plaza, McCoy's Creek Park, Hogan's Creek Restoration in Greenville, Riverfront Music Garden, River's Edge Parks, and of course the same that we keep on talking about. So like I just see all this stuff and I just see, the demand is here. The thing that drives the demand is here. The future looking thing that's going to keep it stable and keep it the flywheel turning is all really, really happening, man. And it's been really cool to start telling this story 5 years ago, start using these reports to like dive into it year over year, and now really start to live it, right? Like 5 years ago when we were talking about this, you and I were not going to downtown to do a lot of things.
Right.
Now we now you and I go probably about once a month,
Yeah.
right? Like for entertainment.
Or something fun.
Not to mention that we come here to work now.
That is true. We come a lot more than once a month. But no, it's fun. I think about, and this has all been recorded, you and me kind of preaching this for, 5 years and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think the best times are ahead of us because, like there aren't many places you can go to find out the next big thing that's happening in the country. Like this is not just a big Jacksonville thing. This is a big thing in the country. And so I'm excited for our community to be here for the last 5 years, stick our neck out on the line a little bit and say, hey guys, I told you this was going to happen. This is where you should put your money. You should be buying those single family rental properties because this is going to happen. And then now, over the next 5 years, I think it's going to be a really fun time for us to sit back and be like, look, it's exactly what we said, know?
Yeah. And again, just to access that point, we'll get into the questions. We're gushing about this stuff because of the long-term planning ideation around all of this, right? Like this, like recognition that not everywhere around the country is there an opportunity like a downtown in a Goldilocks zone that if you just push a little bit, this whole like domino rally chain of events flywheels about to happen. And it's been really, really cool for you guys to call your shot 10, 12 years ago, be some of the weirdos out there kind of like, right? Like you were just kind of out there, like people like, hey, really downtown, city of renderings, not cool. Now we're seeing all these indicators happening, all this undeniable data, all these high profile projects that isn't just a couple of like long-term thinkers like you and Shah Khan, and everything being validated in service of a community of rental property investors that understand that they benefit from this because they saw, they know the answers to the test before it happens, like you do in real estate. So I think it's really, really interesting to be a part of this whole narrative. And more than anything, I'm just excited by the long-term execution of it. Like you don't get to be a part of city building with a 15, 20-year outlook and benefit from it very, very often. I think it's really cool.
Me too.
All right, let's get into some questions.
All right, let's do it.
Whew, all right, diving in. So MJ Rada asks, what are the new incentives? Still looking to buy my first investment in Jax.
We do have some incentives, MJ. So just reach out to the sales team. You can go to chatwithjwb.com and you can schedule an appointment. or you can give us a call, 904-677-6777. We do still have some incentives available. So just jump on the horn with the sales team and we'll be able to help you out.
Sounds good. Mike Foster asks, concerning the downtown vision for Jacksonville during the 2026 summit, Colin Tarber mentioned how the development of downtown Baltimore was a significant boon for the life of that city. Atlanta's Beltline has done similarly. Both of those cities have an NFL football as well as Major League Baseball team that help incentivize people to visit downtown throughout the year. Jacksonville has an NFL team with a city-focused owner, but not baseball. To help draw even more people downtown year-round, is there any development-related discussions around the prospect of Jacksonville someday acquiring an MLB team, potentially enticing either the Miami or Tampa teams to relocate to Jacksonville, especially since baseball attendance in both those cities is abysmal? And would there ever be any acreage in downtown Jacksonville to fit a Major League Baseball stadium and parking?
Man, this is such a cool topic. It's gotten a lot of questions, especially because there is new ownership for the Rays, the Tampa Rays, who is Patrick Zalewski and a team, a group of investors here. Patrick owns Dreamfinders Homes, which is Jacksonville based.
Interesting.
And so I think all of us are saying, he's Jacksonville based. We know where downtown Jacksonville is going. He's a big proponent of downtown Jacksonville. Well, it just makes sense to bring the Rays to downtown Jacksonville. I don't know anything about any of that. I think it's a fantasy. You know, if you look at like, why does it make sense for the Rays to be in downtown Tampa? Well, downtown Tampa is a thriving downtown already. So economically, it doesn't make any sense for.
But their stadium is not in downtown Tampa. Their stadium is like in St. Pete over the bridge, right?
No, they're back in.
Oh, they're back
in the dome.
Okay.
They fixed that. They are probably going to do a long-term stadium deal down there, I would imagine. I don't have any insider knowledge on any of this, so this is just me pontificating. But I just look at it, you know, we don't have the downtown demand right now. We don't have enough people living and working downtown to justify a Major League Baseball team being here. I think it would be amazing. And to answer the follow-up question, is there enough acreage in downtown Jacksonville? Yes, you could find that. People would be willing to give up parts of their land left and right, you know, if we get a downtown team here. So I think it's a nice idea, not something that's imminent. But if you start to play this flywheel out, you know, 10 years down the line or 15 years down the line, you can start to get to the place where you have 20,000, maybe 30,000 people living downtown. I think that's where it becomes more economically viable for us to take the leap for a baseball perspective, to go from the team that we have right now, which is a AAA team, to get to the big leagues, to get to a Major League Baseball team. So it is a few iterations of the flywheel away, in my opinion. And so I don't see anything like that being imminent, but boy can hope.
And in the meantime, in that sports and entertainment district, there is a thriving minor league hockey team and a thriving minor league baseball team, right? Like the Jumbo Shrimp are actually kind of like a beloved experience downtown that drives people there. It's a good time to go see these games. So the entertainment venues and all that stuff is there, just not MLB right now, right?
Yeah, we're a ways off.
I'd be happy if they brought the Marlins over here. Not gonna lie. Vijaya Sudula asks, has the home insurance provider, are the home insurance providers better now?
Yes, absolutely. That has been a common topic here and question about insurance in Florida. And the data is so strong that the market has stabilized here in Jacksonville. Vijaya, the average premium for a new construction home that JWB sells, it's going to blow your mind. It's only about $700 a year in terms of insurance. Same type of insurance I get on my own home. So exactly the type of adequate insurance you need. So really, insurance rates are a lot less than what you're probably fearing or maybe reading about in Florida. Jacksonville is different than the rest of the state of Florida. And the insurance market has stabilized due to the legislation that was put in place to make sure that we had a thriving insurance playing field. And so, yes, insurance should not be a concern when it comes to a reason to invest in Jacksonville.
Vijaya, if you search our back catalog of Not Your Average Investor shows, you will find the entire story of the insurance thing, right? Like it was a loophole that happened here that got shut about 2 years ago. We've been talking about it over time. One of our insurance partners, the Rich Insurance Group, they go and lobby about this stuff and have been telling the story over time. They shut that loophole down about 2 years ago. Slowly but surely, competition has increased. My premium actually went down this year when I renewed as well. So like we're starting to see those data points happen, and it's really stabilized. There's way more competition, and you'd be surprised how much better it is right now than the perception of it because there's been so loud for so long.
Absolutely.
MJ Rueda is asking, can this presentation be made available to us? Yes, MJ, we can send you the presentation, no problem. You can also download the report if you just like look for this report online. It has all of these same exact images, not repurposed as well.
Right.
And we publish this to YouTube and to podcast as well if you want to check out the full show as well. Darren Seaman. Darren, good to see you here, man. What is the radius around Jacksonville downtown for single family rentals that would benefit from downtown development?
Yeah, so about 10 miles, 15 miles is where we target our owners and ourselves to own single family rental properties. So again, if you think about this downtown effect being the rising tide that lifts all boats, any type of area right around that, 10 to 15-mile radius, we believe is going to see significantly higher home price and rent price appreciation because of the higher median income growth. But I will tell you, it's not every neighborhood within 10 to 15 minutes or miles of downtown is the right neighborhood for you to be in. You're going to want to be in workforce housing type neighborhoods. That's where the growth is going to happen the most. So if you're interested in which neighborhoods JWB recommends for you to own rental properties, Darren, just jump on the phone with our team, set up a time to speak with the team, chat with jwb.com. Happy to share the neighborhoods that we've been investing in for 20 years. So it's workforce housing neighborhoods within 10 to 15 miles of downtown is where you're going to see your best growth.
All right, we went a little bit over, but love seeing the community fully engaged. I think that you have all learned to like really, really appreciate this downtown vision report. You've learned to, like me, feel like an insider in this real estate investing game, knowing that you're betting on something with like high upside. It almost feels like having a really, really good stock pit trick, but in real estate, that's okay. You're allowed to share these things, which is why we love this thing, right? So love telling the story. I'm like really grateful for the downtown vision and for this report, not just because it makes a very easy episode for us to produce and show up, right? Like it's just like an easy conversation for us. It's easy to get excited about, but man, being able to have the receipts year over year, right? Like I remember when we first started, we're like, can you imagine when we have 100 episodes? Now we've got 500 episodes. We've got many years of tracking this progress, these stats, these predictions, all coming true and then some, right? Like who would have thought that UF would open a graduate campus here based on AI, these kinds of things. And being able to like look back and see where we're at now is getting really tangible. So I appreciate the community that's been here the whole ride with us, the 76 folks that showed up today, spend an hour out of your workday to like learn about real estate. Can't do it without you. We're going to continue to show up, adding value, continue to tell the story. And from now